Thank you so much to all of our panelists. So now we have an announcement session. So I'm sure that most of you saw the news yesterday regarding a particular Optus-led consortium. So now we're lucky enough to welcome some of the key people behind this new project, this exciting announcement. I understand that it's been about 3 years in the making, so to have this sort of beautifully timed presence of our friends here is very lucky for all of us. So please join me in welcoming Darin Lovett, who of course is the Executive Director of iLAuNCH Trailblazer, and Leake, who's Head of Satellite and Space at Optus. So just a quick background, and I think, yes, also Matt, yeah, okay, sorry, can't see you there. Dr. Matthew Tetlow from the CEO and founder of Inovor Technologies. So essentially what we have here is these three leading this consortium from different perspectives, and indeed it's great that Matt has been able to join this announcement as well, given that he'll be bringing some very important capabilities to ensure that the manufacturing can happen right here in Australia. So over to you to share some more news. Thank you.
At Optus, we believe there's no limit to the possibilities it can provide Australians. That's why Optus is excited to lead a consortium of Australian universities, innovative startups and government partners with the goal of accelerating Australia's space technology, research capabilities and commercial opportunities. The plan is to build and launch with Inovor Technologies an Australian-made LEO satellite, which Optus will operate. The satellite will host 2 highly innovative payloads developed by the Australian Government's iLAuNCH Trailblazer Universities program. The first payload is HEO's largest purpose-built space telescope. It's designed to take high-resolution satellite-to-satellite images to provide insights into the status, operation and behaviour of spacecraft. It will also help us better observe stars and planets for astronomy research. The second payload includes a compact communication terminal that uses optical laser light technology to send and receive data between another satellite and a ground station. These innovations are just the start of the possibilities Optus and our partners plan to explore, shaping the future of Australian space. It starts with yes.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm excited. You should be excited because we're actually getting some money out into the ecosystem doing things. So I'm Darin Lovett, I'm the Executive Director of the iLAuNCH Trailblazer. This story is as unlikely as it is true. We've got an Australian space mission underpinned from the Department of Education, so not Defence or Innovation or any other area, but Department of Education, partnering university researchers with space startups, overseen by a large prime, boldly pivoting from its traditional stomping ground in GEO and moving into new space and LEO, and all with significant national security implications. So yesterday we announced our $50 million consortium to build and launch a 70-kilogram sovereign LEO satellite to advance cutting-edge technology called Project SWIFT. So you've seen the video, but I did want to remind people a bit about where we've come from. So over 2 years ago, I was up on this stage as well, just talking about the start of the iLAuNCH Trailblazer program and our aspirations to help build and translate Australian technology and commercialise it. The genesis of this program goes back a few years, but the federal government managed to pull $370 million out of the budget for a University Trailblazers program on the back of an argument that Australia was great at producing IP. We're in the top 3rd, 5th, 10th in terms of different development levels, producing great research. But we're very poor at translating and commercialising that. And if you look at the OECD Complexity Harvard Index, we're ranked about 106th, just below Uganda, with every other country in the world trending up and Australia declining. So the argument is, we're putting money into universities, we need to get better bang for buck and get the technology out of the labs. So 6 Trailblazers were formed. We're the iLAuNCH Trailblazer, the space one. And we were funded with $50 million from the federal government. This chart just gives you a bit of a glimpse at where federal funding is going in terms of commercialisation. So pulled out of a recent report, iLaunch is a tiny little yellow dot right up at the top. So I think we're doing pretty well in terms of our bang for buck, helping the Australian space ecosystem move forward. Up in that orange line, you'll find entities like the SmartSat CRC, but also in the top is entities like Plans for Space ARC COE. So what are we about? I just want to focus on the right-hand side. We're a fast program, 4 years. TRL focuses on 7, but ideally 8 space qualified, which is a high barrier to entry, as we know. And that Commonwealth money does help overcome that. And also in Optus's case, they've put in significant cash to get this thing spaceborne. We've got generous IP arrangements, so the idea is get that intellectual property out of the labs and into industry where it can make money. World-class research from our 3 universities, and using space as the sort of transformative hook to pull us forward. Just some brief takeaways at the moment. We've got 28 industry partners, 32 core programs, and now a 200 million program. But the big takeaway I want you to listen to is 186 million in contracts as of today, actively working in your ecosystem to do good work. Some of our partners, interesting ones, are companies like Axiom, who are, as Catherine Bennell-Pegg mentioned earlier, working on the next instantiation of the space station, but we'll have 2 payloads going up with Axiom onto the ISS, and companies like Aspen Medical doing biomedical, and others you recognise in there. So recently we had the Project Swift All Hands Kickoff. There's probably one chap in there who actually has a real grey beard, and that was the only grey beard in the room. So the takeaway here is, with Optus, creating a new generation of workforce of the future, with young engineers, policy people, lawyers, etc., moving into this area to actually do great things. So with that, I'm just going to hand over to our next speaker. But yeah, really excited to be part of this and to bring this forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Darin. I think he's probably covered everything myself and Matt were going to talk about, but that's great. You're probably all thinking, well, why Optus? I mean, just recently we've just celebrated 40 years of being in space. So 40 years ago we launched the A1 satellite, which was an old Hughes spinner that has a not much throughput, but now after building and launching 10 spacecraft and a couple of geostationary spacecraft programs on the go, we really wanted to see how we could really challenge ourselves in ourselves moving into a multi-orbit capability. We do have contracts with Starlink and OneWeb in delivering on broadband services, but it was very important for us to work with industry, to work with the universities, to work with our small business to actually develop a LEO capability that is sovereign owned. So we're building these things because we believe that what we have in Australia is unique. We're heavily invested in driving this program forward. We're already looking at a future spacecraft that can carry different types of payloads. So this is the beginning. And as we've said, it's 2 years of hard work, 2 years of bringing industry, universities together to actually now get to a point that in the next couple of years we will launch Australia's first sovereign capability, demonstrating, as we've said, space domain awareness, but also looking at next generation laser optical communications, which is really important, I think, for this country, and for us to be able to commercialize this capability and then sell it overseas and export and really start to get Australia on the map as an innovation area within the space and satellite industry. That's all I've got. We'll have some questions, but let's introduce Matt.
Hi everybody. For those of you who don't know Inovor Technologies, we are a vertically integrated satellite manufacturer based here at Lot 14, about 1.5 k's that way. Yep. We have 3 spacecraft currently on orbit for the Space Agency, Defence and the South Australian Government. So our role in Swift will be to design and build the spacecraft, integrating the payloads and running all of the testing ready for launch. We will also be supporting operations, obviously Optus being the primary operator. So the SWIFT project has been a great opportunity to grow our industrial capability. And I'm not only talking around technology here, I'm also talking about the programmatics and corporate uplift generally. So we went through a competitive RFT process with most of the local satellite players, which was of course expensive and time consuming. It would have been great if Nick had just given me the contract over a coffee, but if we want to deliver space capability at the speed of relevance, we need to grow our corporate capabilities by doing things like proposing and then negotiating with primes the delivery of satellite-based capabilities in a rapid but mission assurance focused way, because that's what our customers expect. This project also aligns well with our roadmap of being the trusted Australian supplier of high-performance, agile, reliable spacecraft to support customer missions. Now, we jumped the gun a bit earlier with our investment in our facility, as we've really only ever used 10% of its capacity. But now we are well positioned to deliver this mission and many more in parallel. We're very much looking forward to working collaboratively with the team to deliver this groundbreaking mission, so watch this space. Thank you.
Time for questions. If anyone has a question, I can't see anyone there. Hannah, can you help?
I'm trying to see. Can anyone wave? Big. If you. Oh, is that someone way up the back wave? Oh. Oh, Bill again.
Hi guys, Bill Barrett, Asia Pacific Aerospace Consultants, trying to keep the thing rolling a bit. Tell us a bit about the payloads. I mean, I certainly know a lot about HEO. The optical payload sounds very interesting. And tell us a bit more about the genesis of the project. How did it actually come together? And I know there was some good intention here, but give us the backstory. What really happened?
Yeah, well, I'll give you the backstory. So, look, at iLaunch, we had supposedly started a program that was fully subscribed, but the reality was between the execution of the program and the federal government and then the actual delivery, partners had fallen out. So we were left with a problem. How do we use that money in the ecosystem and build research and collaboration? So we went out to market. We put out a call to market and said, who wants to play formally, get ourselves listed on pipelines. We're talking about that professionalization. You know, primes especially need to know you're out there seeking to partner up, because then you'll get racked and stacked. And that did work well. And one of the most inspiring things, I think, was that we had a breakfast with Nick and his team at the SEER event in Canberra 2 years ago. And over breakfast, talking about the iLaunch program, I got the feeling that Optus said, this is inspiring. Like, it's the sort of thing that they had wanted to do on the back of other programs that had sort of not gone well, 9102, for example, you know, the cancellation, etc. But at that time, just looking for ways to move forward, and within a few months, we were working on a range of options, and Optus said, we want to lean in and take all of your money. We said, we can't do that, we've got to share it around. But over that time, we were working really at speed to get in extra money. The universities put in an extra $1 million cash on their own, on the back of faith that Optus could deliver us to space. There were discussions with Singtel and boards late at night, and deals, and it's just been a fantastic collaboration, both with the SmartSat CRC and more recently other partners, including our companies, HEO, Inovor, and many others here.
Can I just jump in and talk about the programmatics quickly? I mean, I think there's obviously been a lot of work in the background trying to get money and all that kind of thing, but we had nothing to do with the program until the very end of last year. So basically, it's been a 6-month kind of sprint from our perspective, getting once they knew exactly what it was, getting a request for tender, running through the whole process, negotiating, signing the contract, and kicking off. And we're basically running, if it's okay to say, we're running the system requirements review literally Thursday and Friday this week. So it's actually been, from our perspective, quite an accelerated program. We weren't privy to what was going on in the background. So I think it sort of demonstrates that, you know, it can be done fast. Obviously, preparing the whole thing, getting all the money ready, working out what it's going to be is a long-term process. But basically getting it from when you know what you want to basically having the project fully running in 6 months is pretty good.
Yeah, and just a little bit more on the background. The original funding was about building a payload, but building it on the ground. And Optus being a satellite operator said, well, that's great, but unless you put the bloody thing in space, then we can't actually prove that technology. So our capital investment was actually putting it in space, contracting with Inovor to build the bus, to integrate the payloads, and then getting it up there and then proving that works. So, that really is the most exciting thing, that we can do this as an Australian industry. So we should give a big round of applause to Australian space industry, the universities, the small businesses, the people now that want to get on board and start looking at what next. So I just think it's a fantastic program. I'm so proud of the partners. I'm so proud of the support that we've got from the whole of industry.
And just a quick follow-up. The optical payload, that's such a gap in the market. Very few of those actually exist in space. When can we expect to see it up there, and how did that come about?
We're working with DSTG on the optical payload side, so they already have the ground terminals. It's about now actually getting a payload on there that can actually communicate with the ground terminals. And I do think it is, industry leading, not just from an Australian perspective, from a global perspective. So I think it's really important for us as a country to lead in some things in space. But once we get it up there, we prove it. That can be utilised, as I said earlier, not just for our Australian distribution of a new communications capability, but then it's something that we can export globally.
Also, Darin, DSTG obviously has experience with optical payloads. They already have a satellite up there, and you should talk to them. Not my place to say how it's going, but you should talk to them about how well it's going.
DSTG. So actually, I don't have a question. I'm going to thank you because we have been working on optical communication for resilience in SATCOM. And also with the other payload in terms of our interest in space domain awareness in space. We have been working at a pace to try and get those technologies developed, and it's the gumption of people like you in Optus your company motto of "with the bloody thing in space," I think is to be applauded, and I know that both iLAUNCH and Optus, you've both taken risks. iLAUNCH to change your program to find the space to do this, and I know Optus, you put your hand in your pocket to back this, and I don't think we would have got to the position whereby we'll be putting this into space if you too had not done that. I know there is defence funding here, but we didn't have the money now to do that. This will put it up. It will show a handshake with optics, which is really will then demonstrate to defence the art of the possible. And we don't know where we'll go from there, but if you were not going to show them, I know where we'll go. And so from me personally, thank you, the three of you, for your efforts and the risks that you're taking on this programme.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, I'm just checking the time. I mean, yeah, no, we should probably break there, but I just want to again echo my absolute congratulations to you all. It's interesting because, as many people have said today, it's people who make things happen, and I think that this is a very great example not only of the cross-industry collaboration, but indeed in people who have a vision and really make it happen. And thank you as well for your transparency. I mean, that's the type of insight you don't get from a press release. So make sure that we make the most of this time now. We have the people here behind the mission, and make sure to ask any questions. You'll have time to ask some questions now because we're about to break for afternoon tea. So go grab yet another coffee if you're like me, grab some snacks, and let's reconvene here at 3:45 p.m. So thank you again. Please join me in thanking our speakers, and congratulations.